Tesla dumped after earnings today. A SPY degen trader took an insane trade that they're still holding into the close. Apple whales started to buy calls hand over fist, and Jim Cramer even said to buy crypto. Oh no.
Yeah, we all do. We all do.
So
in so many different ways.
Why don't you buy some Bitcoin or buy some ETH?
All that and much more in today's video. Make sure to subscribe and like below. Let's get started. So Tesla is getting hammered here after hours, mainly because of the earnings call, since it was relatively flat before Elon opened his mouth. Elon started to talk, and honestly, right now, I just heard him make similar comments to what he typically does, which is just aggressively long-term bullish comments on Tesla. For example, he talked about how he would unveil more affordable models in Q4 of 2025 for Tesla vehicles. Also, he said, I'm working on a new master plan. The future of Tesla will profoundly change the world. So a lot of blanket and just vague bullish statements for the long-term perspective of Tesla. And it seems like some of the investors are kind of getting tired of that. And of course, there's some nitty-gritty you can look into that maybe they aren't hitting their marks on time. And as a result, we saw some of this sell-off. The main thing that I am focused on, though, is the technicals on the daily chart, because you guys know, if you've been watching these videos, this trend line right here, the blue one, this uptrend is everything for Tesla. This is the one that goes back to April of 2024, down here, the starting pivot. And it's worked as both a support and resistance for many days now. And as of this earnings call, we're actually below it again, despite last week closing above on the weekly and the last couple of days closing above on the daily. Bulls must hold this level for continuation of the upside as long as we are under. It's roughly 330 right now. There is a bearish bias to it above, and you're looking at a very bullish bias. And actually, there's a key downtrend over here that it could potentially break out from if it's able to hold. So I'm looking at something like a hold of this. If it's able to reclaim by tomorrow morning, we open above, and then we go up to retest around 341. Then we come down one more time to retest it, and then continuation higher. This is a valid trade setup, but as long as it's under, guys, I'm not trading this at all. I'm waiting for confirmation after earnings for it to hold. Bullish flow so far that we've seen despite this drop after earnings, but I'm going to wait for that confirmation. Always best to wait after come in, so you're not taking any excess risk. Now, another thing I do want to mention is based on SPY flow, because we saw a lot of unusual SPY flow today. As you can see here, there was 600,000 worth of calls bought. There's actually 25,000 contracts for the 634 strike on a 0-day expiration call. So very aggressive bet this morning. They bought it for 23 cents a contract. And this was crazy because they bought it near the high during the morning. It went down to 5 cents per contract. They still held. There was no sign of them exiting the position. And then the position went all the way up to 42 cents per contract after there was news, as you can see from down here, of the US and EU closing in on a 15% tariff deal. So it seems like in this case, just based on how degenerate of a trade this was, this person probably had insider information and they were able to make out with a 60% profit on this position. The reason I bring this up is not just to talk about what already happened, but because we actually saw one that came in, not 0-day expiration, but still highly unusual, as you can see filtered here on Cheddar Flow in the blue, that came in about an hour before the close, 2:55 Eastern, and this has about $1 million in premium for the 645 strike. So very aggressive, again, highly unusual. It expires next week, so relatively short dated. They got about 10,000 contracts on this, so quite a bit. And this is a very aggressive bet going into the close. We saw, just based on SPY's chart, that it responded really nicely to those two dark pool levels that I mentioned in our Sunday video. You can see over here on Tuesday, we actually retested it and then continued a lot higher throughout today. And so far, it's just been a slow grind higher ever since retesting those two levels. So as long as we remain above here, where it kind of based and found a support, it's going to continue to push in the near term. And it seems like those whales, or the whale print that I just showed you, is betting on that continuation to upside momentum that we've seen so far. And we also actually had a really strong close. So they were able to already be up going into the close since they bought roughly around this area right here. You can see we had a nice push to the upside afterwards. Right now it's stabilizing in the after hour session, and they're probably expecting continuation from here. So wanted to bring that to your attention. A lot of consistent bullish flow. And it's funny, Cheddar Flow commented earlier, you can see this post, apparently your mom, dad, and even dog are buying calls today. Barely any unusual bear flow. That hasn't just been the case today, guys. This has been the case for weeks now, especially this week, ever since we had that very bullish breakout here on the S&P 500. And there's been a ton of bullish flow across the board. You can see something like this with Tesla, of course, and then buying this before earnings. They'll be down tomorrow. But then also NVIDIA has has had a lot of bullish positioning for weeks now. So I'm going to continue to watch that Tesla because, again, the positioning was pretty bullish going into earnings today, despite them likely opening in the red tomorrow morning. Could be a sign that something maybe happens after earnings. So that's what I'm going to be interested in. I never hold through earnings for trade setups. It's just way too risky, more so of a gamble. And I'm personally not a degenerate trader like that SPY trader from earlier today. So regardless, one final thing I want to bring to your attention on the flow side of things, super unusual Apple call flow today right before the close, about 20 to 30 minutes before close to be specific. You can see over here, 600,000 worth of premium, 600,000, another 600,000, 1.1 million, and then 1.1 million, all for the 200 calls. These expire between both August 22nd, so that's coming up within the next month or so, and then over here, also the January 16th of 2026 expiration. So both short dated and further dated. Very bullish on both of these. I love to see continuous orders, like you guys know. And I realize they're not out the money in this case, but still 200 is relatively close to the spot price at the moment. And for Apple, unusual you see this type of continuous call flow. It typically doesn't get this type of volume on flow during the day. So wanted to bring that to your attention. The final thing I'll look at is the chart for Apple. You can see here on the daily, we had a very nice breakout of this pennant pattern, if you remember that from a video in June. Nice breakout from there, plus this known demand zone, this blue level that we actually had as a previous supply zone back here in 2023. But you can see nice bounce from that area, and right now it's stabilizing. Looks like it's ready for a second leg. I'm kind of forming a mini cup and handle, which I'll show you on the hourly, and this is kind of what I'm planning on trading. And you can see right here we have a cup right around this area. And right now it's attempting to make a handle. It can go down all the way to 210 if it wants to, as insane as that might sound from here. But anything in this range over here is a potential entry with a stop under that 208 level down here, because we know this is the cup of a potential cup and handle. So if it falls below the cup level, then that's no good. It's a leaking cup, and it's going to continue to fall all the way back to this demand zone around 200. As long as it can hold above, though, this handle pattern around 210, this is something that can bid from here, and we can see nice continuation, honestly, to 220 from here. So that's the setup that I'm looking at for this week, along with Tesla, if it can reclaim its uptrend. Regardless, as always, appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll see you next time.